Alright, what's up guys? So for this video, I'm just going to call it games that got me into shooters, or shooting games, shmups, S.T.Gs, whatever you want to call them. Growing up, I didn't have many in my possession. I played them in the arcade, probably here and there. Definitely had some that I guess you could call shooting games on the Atari, but you know, I'm talking more games of the 90s, you know, that resemble resemble shooting games as we know them today, closer than the games of the early 80s on Atari and in arcades like at the time. So here we have kind of an unlikely candidate, but this is a game that my cousin had, and we would play the shit out of this, two-player all day long. And it is Strike Gunner, S.T.G, or we called it, S.T.G Strike Gunner. And we actually probably just called it, the shooting game or the airplane game. But game from, kind of, I guess early on in the Super Nintendo life in the States, 1992. Is that early? Is that right? I don't know. I'm not an expert. But this is a very simplistic game, kind of resembling, maybe Twin Cobra or Raiden. Very, very kind of easy, monotonous, simplistic. But when you're a little kid, we love this, and definitely, the first game that anybody I knew had, in their house that, was of the genre of shooting games. And for that, as kind of, I don't know, I don't want to call this game bad, but just kind of mediocre as it is, still kind of important, and, me discovering the genre and gaining an appreciation for it early on. So this is kind of an example of, very early K2. And I didn't have a Super Nintendo, I had a Genesis. And, damn it, I should have been playing Thunder Force, but I wasn't. I was playing Earthworm Jim, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Mortal Kombat. A lot of Mortal Kombat. So, you live, you learn. But just randomly, my cousin had this game, and basically she played this and Super Mario World, and that's all we did when when I went to visit. So yeah, this game is, don't pay any more than $3 for it. I found a copy again in the bargain bin for literally $2.50, and it's not a legendary game at all, but it's just the first one that I knew of, outside of the arcade. Speaking of the arcade, let's go into the arcade room now, and I'll show you the one that really got my quarters out of my pocket and played a whole hell of a lot of. So one second. Alright, here we are in the arcade room, and here we are with Raiden 2. Now, I can't remember if it was Raiden 2 or Raiden 1. I mean, it was over 20 years ago, so... but I played this at a local pizza chain called Papa Gino's in Massachusetts. And back then, I remember they had this game, Super Street Fighter 2, and then, kind of in and out, they would have X-Men, Turtles, and Simpsons. And kind of in between all those, they had a Raiden machine. And, ever since playing it there at Papa Gino's, I would seek this game out in any arcade I was, visiting. Did they have Raiden, or did they have a game that resembled Raiden? This is all way before the internet, and way before, I could find out that, yeah, this was a very popular genre in Japan, and, all this stuff that we know now. I just knew about Raiden and, games like it, I guess. And, you know, it's funny. I mean, Raiden was a pretty popular game in the States, and other shooting games, you know, of the 90s, not so much. But Raiden was definitely kind of always one that kind of hit it off with me, and actually, you know, by and large, did you know, pretty well in the States in the arcades in the 90s. So, love this game, and today I have, you know, the PCB for it. I'd love to get Raiden 1 also, and these are pretty affordable as far as shooting game PCBs go. So, you know, maybe in the future I'll get it Raiden 1. But right now, you know, for my money, Raiden 2 is every bit as good as Raiden 1. So happy to have it, and it's looking great on the old painted lady here, the Namco X-Lane 2. So switching gears a lot, I'm just going to go into Death Smiles. Now, I think, I'm just going to turn off the light here real quick. I think this is a pretty important game in the shooting game genre, because it's the first modern cave game to get a Western release, as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, when this game came out, it was, you know, pretty, you know, a lot of people didn't get it. You know, okay, yeah, beat it and trade it in or whatever. You know, just credit feed it and go through it. But this game, you know, definitely was kind of an eye opener, and you know, kind of what, you know, old Raiden could evolve into, and what they were making in Japan. So you know, the 360 was great for that stuff. I mean, I remember maybe before Death Smiles, I had picked up Raiden 4 on the 360, which is also superb and looks amazing and is like this, you know, on super steroids. And there's also the Fighter Aces compilation on the 360 I had picked up. But this was my introduction to cave games. I didn't have a Japanese, I didn't have Dodonpachi or anything on the Saturn before this. You know, again, you know, definitely there was the internet when Death Smiles came out, but, you know, it wasn't something that I was, you know, actively seeking out. So, you know, when this came out, I was playing, you know, Saturn games, Saturn Shmups, and when this came out, I jumped on it to see what, you know, what a you know, what the modern equivalent was. And outside of you know, a Seibu shooter like Raiden 4 or Fighter's Aces. So yeah, and of course after that I became a super fan of, you know, everything Cave did pretty much. Love Death Smiles, and another reason why it's important is, you know, it's the first Cave game I got to play, and I think it's the first Cave game a lot of people got to play here, and to this day, it's an amazing value. Like, if you go to any used video game store, you can pick this up on 360 for like $10. Go do it. It's totally worth your time. And it's, you know, a game doesn't need to be, you know, a shooting game doesn't need to be super damn expensive to be good. And Death Smiles is a good example of that. So I'll go now to another game that was kind of important in, you know, forming my appreciation for the genre, and we'll go into the Saturn import of Saturn imports. 1 second. All right, what is there to say about this game? Battle Garega is just, you know, one of those legendary games, and one of the reasons why the Saturn will just, you know, never die, because it plays Battle Garega way too well. And you know, this game was one of the first, you know, aside from trying to think what my first import Saturn shooting game was, but this was pretty close to it. It's definitely the most expensive game I had bought, you know, up to that point. It was, you know, like $125 or something like that, maybe $130 with shipping. And you know, I had read online on hardcoregaming.net a big article on the Yagawa games, and you know, decided that, you know, this was going to be, you know, the you know, the shooting game I get to know and you know, try and learn, I guess. And that's where this kind of comes in on my list of important games for me in this genre, is that, you know, this was, you know, one of the first games I ever took time to, you know, read strategy guides, learn about the rank system, learn about scoring tricks, learn about, you know, metal chaining, and all those things. And this game has a lot to learn and is very deep in that regard. Unlike, you know, something like S.T.G. Strike Gunner on the Super Nintendo back there. So, yeah, and, you know, it was kind of a choice between, you know, what game do I import? Raiden Silvergun, which at the time was even more money, or this. And I'm glad I chose this game because, you know, Raiden Silvergun, I was not a fan of Ikaruga. Sorry, I'm not into that kind of, you know, puzzly stuff. This one I feel, you know, this one will give you a stroke. You know, it just puts you into positions you don't want to be, chasing after those medals. And, you know, for that, I mean, it's just a really exhilarating play experience. So, and I definitely recommend anybody thinking about, you know, getting into Saturn, you know, imports. This game isn't cheap. You know, start with the ones on 360. Start with Raiden 4, Raiden Fighters Aces, Death Smiles. You know, start there maybe, or you know, or try and find Raiden Project on the PlayStation or something like that. You know, but if you decide you really like this and you want to learn a game, and you got a Saturn or whatever, definitely seek this game out. So just on my makeshift platform here of arcade stools, and I got my Virtual Stick Pro there. I'm running in Tate on the NEC XM29, and this is actually displayed through S-Video, so not RGB on this in particular circumstance, but still looks fucking baller. Check out this remote, by the way. I just got this not too long ago. You can't do any of the geometry changes on an NEC XM29 monitor without one of these puppies. And I don't know if you can tell how monstrous this remote is, but I mean, it is fucking big. Let's see here's my shitty television remote that's been chewed by Jack. You can see that. Huge remote. Anyways, this is a quick look, and I'd love to hear what you guys, you know, what games, you know, maybe got you into shooting games, or, you know, what was the first game you imported? What was the first, I don't know, game at the arcade that you had like a eureka moment, like, I love this shit, you know? Be interested to hear. And so anyways, if I don't talk to you later, have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy, you know, Hanukkah or whatever. And we'll talk to you all maybe in 2015 or a little earlier. Who knows? All right, guys, that's it for me, and thanks for watching. Talk to you later.